All right, good morning, guys. So all Zoom links are found in the portal, the course outline portal. Okay, so I'm Ian Ebron. I'll be your course coordinator for the foods part of the uh, FNDRC review. Okay, so for today, and tomorrow, basic foods 1 and 2. Okay, we'll be having as resource person Dr. Wilma A. Hurtada. Okay, so we are very fortunate to have her. She's a very accomplished researcher and professor in UPLB. Okay, hold on. Okay, so Wilma Hurtada or Dr. Wilma Hurtada has a PhD in food science, minor in biochemistry, and she had her masteral in minor in horticulture. She specializes in food science, biochemistry, and horticulture. Um, she worked as an adjunct professor in OpenU and a consultant uh, until up to present. So she's been a faculty in the UPLB for the longest time, and she worked with the ABAR also. She's been doing food safety seminar for the longest time, and she received numerous awards. Some are of which are UP Scientist Productivity, Outstanding Teacher, and UP Professorial Chair Awards in the teaching and research. She has also produced several award-winning researches. Okay, so let's start her session for today. Fair warning, guys, it's a bit long, so I hope you guys had your breakfast and you can eat while listening to her. We'll address all questions later. So if you have questions, you can type them in the chat box. Then we'll get to it later. She will join us later. I'll be playing a recorded lecture. Okay.
Sa upuan na lang.
Okay. I'll start the lecture now. Hold on. Can you all see the screen, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Isang maganda at mapagpalang umaga sa lahat. For the past 20 years, I have been lecturing review classes face-to-face. This is my first time to do it online. Hope you will like my online slideshow, though I will miss the face to face interactions with you. Now I am faced with a great challenge to deliver my slideshow well and good, such that you will not only enjoy it, but more importantly, you learn from it. As nutritionists, when you talk about nutrition, you also talk about food. When you talk about food, you also talk about nutrition. I will start my lecture composed of 340 slides with the definition of what food is. So, food is any substance which, when taken by the body, provides energy, builds and repairs tissues, and regulates bodily processes. Do you still remember the Go Grow Glow foods in your elementary or high school schooling? The Go foods are the energy rich foods that you get from eating carbohydrates and fat rich foods like rice or any other cereals, and oil, butter, margarine, mayonnaise. The Grow foods are the proteinaceous foods that you get from eating red meat, white meat, eggs, uh, milk, and a lot of other dairy products. The Glow foods are the dry, okay, the Glow foods are fruits and vegetables, which contain vitamins and minerals. In your 4 or more years of training as nutritionist, you are taught to prepare and serve quality foods. And remember, quality foods, not just simply foods. So let me now talk about food quality. So food quality as defined is a composite of several criteria of stimuli coming from the food itself, as well as attitudes attached by the consumer to the food. Let me give you an example. When you see ampalaya, it is nutritious, right? Good for the health of the liver. But at the same time, back in your mind, it is bitter and may not be uh, a regular inclusion in your daily diet. Nutritional, digestibility, palatability, economy, and sanitary qualities are described as the nutritional, no, not nutritional, as aspects of food quality. The aspects of food quality includes nutritional quality. Foods are sources of nutrients, grouped as carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Digestibility is another aspect of food quality. It has something to do with easiness of digestion. It refers to completeness of digestion and absorption, and also the general feeling and after effect feeling of food. Foods are cooked to make them easy to digest, okay, then absorbed by the cells via the blood. You see, for a fact, you know that proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are big molecules. So they cannot easily pass through the villi of the small intestine to be taken up by the blood and distributed to the different cells that may be needing them. Okay, so during digestion, what happens is that your big molecules of proteins are converted into amino acids, your carbohydrates into glucose, and your fats into fatty acids. Amino acids, glucose, and fatty acids would easily now pass through the villi of the small intestine, taken up by the blood, and distributed to the different cells that may be needing them. Another factor or another aspect is palatability factor. This has something to do with the eating quality of food as judged by human senses. So, this would include visual perception, odor or aroma perception, and the taste stimuli. Do you still remember your four basic tastes of sour, salty, bitter, and sweet? The bitter uh, taste buds, okay, are found at the back of your tongue, sweet in front, and salt and salty at the sides. And the eating quality would also include what you call tactile sensations. Ang pagkain ba ay crunchy, gritty, gummy, chewy, hot, spicy, gluey. At this point, I would like you to remember the difference between taste and flavor. Taste is the sensation of the uh, uh, taste buds, no, that you get, okay, when you eat foods. While flavor is the combined effect of appearance, color, the texture, uh, taste, and tactile sensations. So this is flavor. Okay, the fourth one is economy in the use of resources. Okay, what good is a food if it could not reach the table of your target population? So you would consider food cost, amount of time, equipment, and labor utilized for cooking, serving, and storing the food. Sanitary quality is another aspect. So when you talk about sanitary quality, food must be safe for human consumption. Free from other forms of contamination is what do we mean by safe, and that are hazardous to human health. Like for example, microbiological caused by microorganisms. So you may get food intoxication or food infection. What is the difference between food intoxication and food infection? Okay. Intoxication is the ingestion of the toxins produced by the microorganism. The disorder botulism or staphylococcal poisoning is a result of this microorganism, okay, producing the toxins. You ingest the toxins and that you get either botulism or staphylococcal poisoning. The other one is biological, okay, the presence of like uh, parasites, okay. So the food, especially if they're not prepared clean, okay, may or not well cooked, you may get hookworm, flatworm, and the more common would be that of their Trichinella spiralis. The disorder is known as trichinosis. Especially, you get this when you undercook the meat, meaning the internal temperature has not reached 65 degrees centigrade. Chemical, okay, this is chemical poisoning due to the intake of or ingestion of the heavy metals, calcium, no, not calcium, but it would be lead, mercury, and arsenic. Now, let's talk about mercury. You happen to, for example, to eat kangkong, no? Kangkong, harvested from the banks of the river or your river banks and that of the lakeshore that are maybe heavily polluted with mercury. If you look at the periodic table, you know, mercury belongs to the same family where iron also belongs. Okay. So you ingest mercury, okay, what happens is that you can easily, okay, replace iron as the center ion in hemoglobin. What's the role of iron? Okay, it is the one that binds oxygen when you have, let's say, an intake of oxygen. Okay, it binds only with iron. Okay, and then it is where in hemoglobin and is distributed, okay, by the blood to the different parts of the human body. If you have this too much inside your body cells, what happens would be that, or in the blood, what happens is that you get asphyxiated, and of course, finally, you die because there is no more oxygen, okay, that is being carried out, okay, by the uh, mercury as a center ion in hemoglobin. Physical is due to insect caused by insects like mm, caused by insects, so yung mga cuts, bruises. Okay, this would serve as an entry points for microbial for microorganisms causing food spoilage. Strontium, for example, a radioisotope, if you happen to ingest that in food, could easily replace uh, calcium because they have almost similar, they are similar in structure. Okay. So what happens is that, okay, the bone, because it is not calcium, it is strontium, then the bones become porous, becomes weak, and finally, you see exaggerated, okay? So exaggerated examples that, and possibly you will end up as a jellyfish. Let me now talk about the chemical composition of foods. Nutrients are chemical in nature. The nutrients are chemical in nature. Remember that. And when we talk about nutrients, okay, they come in two forms, the macronutrients and the micronutrients. The macronutrients would include proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and water. The micronutrients would include the vitamins and the minerals. The macronutrients are called macro because we need them or we take in these compounds in large amounts, while micronutrients are taken in only in small or very minute amounts. So let's first take up water. Okay. Water is the most common dispersing agent. It is the universal solvent. Without water, a lot of chemical, biochemical reactions cannot occur in living systems. And there are five forms of water that may be present in foods. These are free water, okay, hydrates, absorb, absorb or imbibe, and bound water, which can be categorized into two. Okay, free water, hydrates, absorb or imbibe are called unbound water. The unbound water can easily be removed either by pressing or by squeezing or by evaporation or application of heat. So they can be removed, but not bound water because bound water is tightly chemically bound to the molecule, as in proteins and in carbohydrates. This is the diagram of the liquid water, okay, showing the angle, okay, between the two hydrogen ions. Okay, so the liquid water, the angle is at 105. But when liquid water is solidifies, that is your ice water, or it turns into vapor, then this angle expands, okay, from 105 to 109 and even up to 112 degrees centigrade. What is the implication of this in food preparation? Okay, that freezing can be used as a mechanical way or physical way of tenderizing meat. Okay, so when the meat, of course, you place that inside the refrigerator. Of course, it's composed of water, right? About 60 to 65% of the animal cells as well as ours, okay, is 60 to 65%. So that gets frozen. Okay, when it freezes, what happens is that, of course, the angle expands and separate physically or mechanically the muscles fibers, resulting in meat tenderization. Proteins are organic compounds composed of amino acids, okay, linked by a peptide band. Okay, this is one amino acid, another amino acid. This is the amino group, basta't may N, amino group yon. And this is the carboxylic group with the COOH. So when they condense or combine, they react with each other. Okay, you release 1 mole of water. That's what you release that, and you form a peptide band. Okay, between the amino group and the carboxylic group. In nature or in foods, okay, this, of course, in a series of a lot of peptide bands or amino acids joined together by the peptide band, and you call this your polypeptides. You eat egg, it's not just one or two or three amino acids attached to one another. That could be hundreds, thousands of amino acids, okay, that we are consuming, we are digesting uh, in just, let's say, an egg. And amino acids may be classified as essential and non-essential. What do we say, or what do you mean by essential? Those which the body cannot produce enough to meet the amount needed by the manti. Take note of this. It is not cannot produce, but cannot produce enough. So may pinoproduce pa rin, pero hindi sapat to meet the amount needed by the body. And the non-essential amino acids are those that the body can produce enough to meet the needs of the body. There are 22, no, not 20 amino acids, okay, in the proteins. 20 amino acids that are, you see, the sequence of amino acid is determined by our genetic makeup, okay? To remember your DNA, messenger RNA, the protein synthesis, so that's it. So those are a process of protein synthesis. These are involved, okay, and amino acids are joined together, okay, based on your genetic makeup. And the essential amino acid will include TV till PM. That is the acronym. You can easily remember the PM, right? Because that is phenyl, alanine, and methionine. Okay, tryptophan, valine, okay, tyrosine, isoleucine, leucine, and lysine. Okay, for the adults, but the needs for infants and young children would include histidine and arginine. So that is TV till PM. Uh, Carbohydrates. This is synthesized by photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, you see, you have carbon dioxide and water in the air, okay, and sunlight, okay. Then it is captured by the chlorophyll, okay, in a series of complex and long reactions, okay. It would all end up with starch. The storage form of carbohydrates in plants is starch. In animals, it is glycogen. So carbohydrates are actually hydrates of carbon. So see, that's it. So this is what I've been telling you earlier. This is bound water. And if you remove this, then it will no longer be a carbohydrate. The two main groups are sugars and polysaccharides. Sugars include the monosaccharides, glucose, fructose, the sweetest among all sugars, and galactose. And disaccharides, sucrose, lactose, and maltose. Lactose is the least sweet among all sugars and the only sugar that is found in milk. Okay, let's just take a look at the molecular formula of glucose there. So these are your hydrates, no? Your hydrates of, say, hydrates. So this is water, water, water. Cannot remove this, hard to remove. If I said, if you ever do, then it will not be glucose at all. Then you have fructose and you have galactose. Disaccharides, on the other hand, two sugar units. Okay, when you say saccharide, sugary or sugar. So maltose, okay, composed of two glucose units. Your sucrose is glucose and fructose, and your lactose is glucose and galactose. Polysaccharides can further be divided into digestible and indigestible. When you talk about digestible carbohydrates, this will include starch, dextrins, and glycogen. What is starch? You know, expose starch to heat, like in toasting bread, making pulveron, or in doing fried rice. Okay, you break the big molecule of starch into fragments you call dextrins. This is shorter chain of your saccharides. Could be two, three, four, five, and so on, but shorter than the long molecule of starch. And partially digestible like galactogens, inulin, mannosans, pentosans. The indigestible polysaccharides would include cellulose, hemicellulose, like agar, pectin, and lignin. You see, our body, the human body, does not have, you know, human body, our digestive system, no, we do not have the enzyme that is capable of breaking, okay, cellulose. Okay. Only the ruminants, no, yung mga kumakain ng damo na hayop, ang merong cellulase, the enzyme that would degrade cellulose. Okay. Uh, so yung animals, so let's take a look. Okay. Wait. My apologies. I have to shut down my time. Time to drink my medicine. Okay. Okay. Indigestible would be cellulose. So take a look. We do not have the enzyme cellulase to break the beta 1,4 leakage. Starch, yes, because we do have the enzyme like amylase to break down the alpha 1,4 leakage. So but the animals, yes, they do have. So that's why from cellulose, they can get a lot of energy, like out of eating grass. Us, even though we want to eat grass, no, we cannot do it, right? Because we do not again have the enzyme cellulase. Fats are also organic compounds belonging to the water-soluble substances called lipids. Is my phrase correct? No, it's not, because these are water-insoluble substances called lipids. Let's go a little bit back to our basic chemistry. Okay, you learned that when two compounds of similar polarities, okay, that mix together, okay, they are soluble with one another because they have similar polarities, but not when two compounds have different polarities, like water and fats or any liquid with fats, because water is polar, your fats is non-polar. See, so when they mix, no, when you mix them or you place fats into water, they will not be, they will not it is not soluble. Fat is not soluble in water because of the difference in polarity. So you end up with what we call emulsion. So your fats are esters of glycerol and fatty acids. Again, basic chemistry, an alcohol, when it combines with a fatty acid, so that's an acid, take a note of the carboxylic group, an alcohol with a lot of hydroxyl group. So your glycerol, that is a three carbon alcohol, okay, plus a fatty acid, okay, end up with what we call ester compounds, just like fat. And when we say ester, it is usually associated with aromatic compounds. So uh, you will end up with uh, aromatic compounds. Okay, so let's take a look at these structures. Okay, so like you see, coconut oil can easily be uh, identified that its source is coconut. Same with peanut oil, sesame oil, corn oil, and so on and so forth. The lard, okay, the sweat, okay, we would easily identify their sources because of the aroma and the flavor that they would give. The monosaccharides, these are your uh, uh, compounds that were in only one, no? Only one fatty acid is attached. It could be anywhere, no? It could be anywhere. The diglyceride too, fatty acids. It could also be anywhere. And the acids that be attached could be similar, it could be different, or it's a mixture of the fatty acids. Take a look at your monoglyceride and your diglyceride. You see, nowadays we no longer would use egg as an emulsifying agent in mayonnaise and a lot of baked product, but fat itself, no. Look at one of, if it is, so if fat is at the one is, if the fat is a monoglyceride or a diglyceride, look at the structure of a monoglyceride. This is the polar end, this is the non-polar end. And a good emulsifying, emulsifying agent is wherein you can find in the uh, compound both the polar and the non-polar end. So this is now what is being used in the industry as emulsifying agent. The monoglycerides and the triglycerides. The triglycerides, on the other hand, is where all the hydroxyl ions have been esterified with fatty acids. Again, the fatty acids that may be attached could be the same, it could be different, or a mixture of fatty acids. So just to show you, okay, some examples of the fatty acids, no? The fatty acids. So you have butyric, four carbon atom, characteristic of fatty acids found in butter. It is a saturated fatty acid because when you say saturated, there is no presence of the double bond. Stearic is found in soybeans. You see, you have a lot of there. That is 16, y 6, 18, 16, 17, okay, 18. Okay. Again, saturated fatty acids. But for oleic and linolenic, okay, okay, you have oil 18, same as stearic 18, but there is the presence of no your double bonds. Your fatty acids may be also classified as essential, and non-essential. So when we talk of smaller chains, okay, and more saturated, okay, they are non-essential. Whereas those that are longer in chain, or has longer carbon chain and more double bonds, they are essential fatty acids, like your linoleic, linolenic, okay, arachidonic, and your docosahexaenoic acid. Linoleic acid, the other name for this is what? Your omega-6. Your linolenic acid is your omega-3. Quite important when we talk about, okay, what is a good fat or what is a good fatty acids to be taken. They say, marami daw ito sa belly ng isda. Okay, macronutrients, I think this is wrong, my apology. That should have been micronutrients, those that are needed by the body or taken in by the body in smaller amounts or minute amounts. And this would include vitamins. The vitamins are further classified as your water-soluble vitamins, includes include your vitamin C and B complex. It is, as I said, it is water soluble and is heat labile. Even sunlight can destroy vitamin C and B complex. The other one is fat soluble. No, it is not water soluble, but it is fat soluble. So where it is stored, okay, in the fatty tissues, okay, of the animal or the human body. There is no toxicity associated with vitamin C and B complex because being soluble, they could easily be well found, okay, in the urine, nung nadidissolve sila sa urine, sa pawis natin, sa laway. Okay. Pero yung soluble, fat-soluble vitamins, nai-store sila. That's why we are always conscious not to take too much of this. Especially vitamin E. Kasi marami sa atin ang gustong magaganda ang kutis. Kasi mataas daw ito ng antioxidant. Pero, pag sumobra, alam nyo ba yung vitamin E, pwede din siyang maging oxidant. So, it can cause harmful effects to the organ. Minerals, on the other hand, are collectively termed as ash. These are the inorganic constituents. Okay, the vitamins, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are organic, may usually characterized by a long chain of carbon in them. They are collectively called ash. Okay. I used to joke my students that if wanted to be, you know, parang mas kapaki-pakinabang na mamamayan, pag kayo namatay, dun, magpa-cremate and then donate your ash, okay, to the pharmaceuticals. Why? Okay. Kasi they are elements. They cannot be synthesized. No? Elements cannot be synthesized. So, saan kaya nanggagaling yung mga ating sa ating multivitamins, yung mga calcium, iron, phosphorus, di ba dun sa ash? So, your ash would include micro minerals and the macro minerals. The macro minerals, you have calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, potassium, chlorine, and sulfur. The micro minerals, okay, other term is trace elements, would include iron, your manganese, copper, iodine, zinc, copper, cobalt, fluoride of fluorine, and selenium. Let's take a look now at the non-nutritional components of food. One is pigments. In plants includes chlorophyll and carotenoids. They are fat soluble. So if you happen to saute, you'll find them more in the fat. Okay. And flavonoids and tannins, these are anthocyanins and anthocyanins, which are water soluble. Anthocyanins, the red to purple to blue pigments in food. Anthocyanins, yung puti, cream, a little bit yellow, they are water soluble. So, we are always told, di ba? When you prepare, especially fruits and vegetables, wash them, okay, before peeling, wash them before cutting. So, okay, to prevent the leaching out or washing out of the water soluble, okay, pigments, as well as that of vitamins like vitamin C and B vitamins. In animals, you call the pigment in the blood hemoglobin, pigment in the muscle is myoglobin. And you see, when you look at eggs or milk, may nakikita ko yung parang flourish na blue, no? Blue tint or blue tint or greenish tint, grayish tint. That is riboflavin, a B vitamin. And of course, sepia is called the ink, no? The ink that is uh, usually released by the squids and the octopus, okay, whenever they are attacked. Now, the common pigments that are found in foods are this. I want you to look at this. No? Okay. Now, oh, this is wrong spelling. Change that to E. Okay. But particular attention to the color changes in meat. Okay. So, myoglobin is the pigment found in the muscle that is red to brown. Immediately after the slaughter of the animal, no, uh, when you cut meat and expose it, okay, to the atmosphere, it turns bright red. Further, it turns to purplish red. Now, when you cook it, okay, it turns brownish red. Okay, myoglobin. Nitrous myoglobin is that beautiful pink color that is developed when you cure meats or in curing meats. Okay, tannins and other phenolic compounds, okay, different use of brown. When you peel a santol, apple, okay, and no, hindi pala yung when you peel santol and apple and you peel bananas, you cut talong, okay, usually it would turn brown. So that is due to the oxidation of tannins and other phenolic compounds. Okay, so I mentioned to you earlier, riboflavin and sepia. Flavor compounds. Okay, the sugars, acids, aldehydes, esters, alcohols, ketones, and sulfuric compounds, okay, that are found in foods give flavor to foods. Let's take a look at sulfur compounds. Where do you find this? In vegetables like cabbage, mustard or mustasa, in broccoli, in onion leeks, in garlic, in onions, and in fruits, durian, manang, and langka. And this is the reason why you are also instructed that when you cook foods contain or a dish containing these fruits or vegetables, okay, then you must leave open the pot, okay, for a few minutes during cooking and then cover it. Why do you have to open it? To be able to release, okay, the sulfur compounds, because sometimes they give a very unpleasant flavor and aroma. So again, flavor is a combined sensations from the taste buds, okay, and the olfactory organs and the chemical factors in the oral cavity. That would the last one results in what you call tactile sensations. Enzymes. Okay. The enzymes are organic catalysts that are protein in nature. So there are protein sila. And being protein in nature, there are heat label. So You don't want the enzymes to be active during food preparation because of the possible undesirable effects like changes in color, because usually the changes in color or the changes in color that may be undesirable uh, are usually okay. Uh, Enzymes are involved. Branching, for example, is a good way to stop enzymatic reactions. The usual application of enzymes in food would include they can be used as effective meat tenderizers. Excuse me. Proteolytic enzymes like bromelain from fresh pineapple, not canned, because I said earlier that organic that enzymes are hit labile. So pag canned, patay na. No? So they cannot act on the proteins. Okay, they cannot break down the big molecule of proteins. And papain from papaya. Papain is an exception because it is even activated at higher temperatures, especially at simmering temperature of about 80 degrees centigrade. Sugar inversion. The addition of invertase to convert sucrose to glucose and fructose in the preparation of crystalline candies. Crystalline candies is characterized by the presence of small tiny crystals, and the best sugar to use to attain this smooth textured candy that you could hardly notice the crystals that are present in it would be fructose, the the sugar that is hardest to crystallize. Fermentation of sugars catalyzed by amylases, necessary for the increase in volume in bread making. I asked you, or the board, there is a board exam question that asks you, okay, saan ang galing ang carbon dioxide? No? Na sinasabing na andun sa loob ng do. Kaya there is a volume expansion or increase in volume during the fermentation of the dough. And most especially, you would say yeast. Doon ang galing ang carbon dioxide sa yeast. Hindi sa totoo, di ba? Ang yeast, ito ang nagsisikret ng enzymes, amylases, to act on sugar, especially glucose, favorite niya ay glucose, okay? And when it metabolizes glucose, then what happens is that carbon dioxide and water is produced. Okay, kaya meron diyang increase in volume. If a board exam will ask you again, exam item will ask you, ano ang nandun sa loob ng sa the dough? Is it air or it is carbon dioxide? Of course, your better choice of an answer is carbon dioxide, but not air. Softening of fruits by pectinases during ripening. Okay, yung hilaw na mangga, pag siya hilaw, okay, siya ay matigas pa, firm in structure or in texture. But while it ripens, it softens, and that is due to the action of pectinases on the protopectin that is found in green fruits or in green manga. And during ripening, the pectinases acts on the protopectins and produce what you call pectic acids. Pectic acids characterize ripe mangoes. Fermentation also it is also involved in fermentation, uh, resulting in the proteolysis, okay, uh, for making patis, bagoong, vinegar, wine making, and cheese making. Ang patis ay fermented maliliit na isda. Ang bagoong ay pwedeng isda at saka pwedeng ah, hipon. Okay. Yung sa wine making, fruit juice plus yeast. Okay, you produce carbon dioxide uh, and water. Pag naman vinegar, you add your no, not lactic, but acetic acid bacteria, okay? Then you produce, okay, the acetic acid. And in cheese ripening, use the molds, no? Like Penicillium Roquefort in Roquefort cheese. And it's Swiss cheese, Penicillium Shermanii E. Shermanii E. Let's take a look at the browning, no? Let's take a look at the browning reactions of food. The browning reactions may be desirable and may be undesirable. Okay? When you like what? In salads, pag yung mga fruits nyo that would easily turn brown like apple and banana turns brown, ay hindi na maganda yung salad, sasabihin, lumayan. But it is desirable when you toast bread, in baking, okay, in frying, in making pulburon. Yeah, we need that desirable uh, brown color, or even in making lechon or cooking lechon. Two categories, no, two general categories of browning reactions include non-enzymic. So when you talk about non-enzymic browning reactions, okay, no enzymes are involved. Okay, caramelization is one. So see, you expose sugar to a very high temperature of about 160 degrees centigrade. That would result in a formation of a dark brown, highly viscous syrup with distinctive taste and odor. Your leche plan tastes good because, okay, there is that caramelized sugar lining, okay, your curd. Maillard browning reaction, as long as in the food there is the sugar with the free aldehyde group and a protein, okay, the protein with an amino group. Of course, lahat naman ng protein may amino group. Okay, they would combine or they would condense to form, okay, the brown, brown, no? They would turn and food into brown upon uh, heating. They say that Maillard browning reaction is sometimes not like during food preparation because they say this is an anti-nutrient, okay, reaction. Uh, the amino acid that is generally involved would be the lysine. And I know that lysine is essential amino acid that is involved in growth, especially that of young children. Okay, it is irreversible, no? Hindi pwedeng ibalik like your toasted bread, okay, into its original fresh form. And the other one is enzymic, meaning enzymes are involved. No? So these are biochemical reactions involving enzymes. And usually it is mediated by the enzymes catalase, phenolase, or polyphenolase. So the polyphenolase, the enzyme is usually named after its substrate, so would easily degrade phenolic compounds. And phenolic compounds has always been associated with what? With high antioxidant potential. Okay, enzymic browning reaction needs oxygen, either from the air or from intercellular spaces within the tissue for the reaction to occur. So what happens is that, for example, you peel, ano, you peel your banana, it turns brown. So what happens that, no, the oxygen activates the enzymes. Then the enzymes degrade the, okay, phenolic compounds that are found okay, in your banana, and browning reactions occur. So the oxidation reaction of polyphenols, okay, may be undesirable. So what mostly we do, because this is dependent on oxygen, so mostly what we do is that, like when we peel potatoes, we soak it in water or we submerge it in water to uh, limit the oxidation process. That means there is no direct contact of oxygen with the phenolic compounds in potatoes. We can also do this by the addition of acid. So if you, when you prepare salads, you mix no your bananas, apples, in pineapple. That could reduce or minimize enzymic or oxidative reaction or oxidation of the polyphenols. Or you can even freeze it, not freeze, but refrigerate it to stop, okay, or minimize the oxidation reaction. And the other one is ascorbic acid oxidation. So your vitamin C, though it is a potent antioxidant, okay, also gets, okay, oxidized. And this is the reason why sometimes you see fruit juices, they are canned in, okay, opaque bottles, okay, metal cans, or in Tetra packs, so that you cannot see the inside, okay, or the change in color from that bright yellow to that to brownish color. It's still edible, okay. There's still the uh, potency is not produced, but the appearance is maybe not acceptable. So they have to hide it. Dispersion. What when we cook food, okay, we encounter dispersions, a lot of dispersion. And when we talk about dispersion, this is combination of dispersed particles scattered throughout a dispersion medium, resulting in a homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture. What do you mean by homogeneous? Yun. Ah, asin, pag tinunaw mo sa tubig, no, makikita mo pa ba yung asin? Hindi na. So, I really cannot distinguish between salt and water. So, homogeneous. Pero pag heterogeneous mixture, ayan, makikita mo pa siya. Katulad ng, pag nagagawa tayo ng sinigang, no? Di ba sa sinigang, that solids in a liquid. Okay? And that results in your heterogeneous, okay, mixture. So these are the types of dispersion that you may encounter during food preparation. One is a true solution. I said earlier that a true solution can be homogeneous mixture. You cannot distinguish the solute from the solvent. These are some of the examples. Okay, diluted fruit juice, carbonated beverages, sugars, and salt solutions, clear syrups, clear soups, okay, clear soup. Sorry. Okay, when you say sugar, you call that syrups. Salt solution, you call that brine. And of course, the more common type of dispersion in food preparation are the colloids. So it's the two-phase system. What do you mean a two-phase system? So it could be a gas in a solid, okay, an air in a liquid, okay, and so on and so forth. It's just a mixture of two states of matter. You know the three states of matter? So solid, liquid, and gas. So the four common types of Colloidal dispersions or systems would be the salt. It is a liquid gel. The dispersed phase is solid, and the dispersing medium is liquid, like hot gelatin before it sets, or dilute starch in or diluted starch in hot water. So that is a salt. Examples would be champurado, lugaw, okay? Or pag nagsasaing, pag may tubig pa, that is a salt. Okay, when salt sets or solidifies, you call it a gel. So gel is a solidified salt like custards, gelatin, jellies, or our cooked sinaing. Then, of course, emulsion. Okay, mixture of two liquids with different, no? Mixture of two liquids with different polarities. Okay. uh, Liquid, so it is a liquid dispersed in another liquid with which it is immiscible, like oil in water. So oil is dispersed in water, as in raw egg in mayonnaise, and water in oil emulsion, as in butter, whipping cream, and ice cream. And foam. Foam is a gas dispersed in a liquid or solid medium. You beat egg whites called meringue. Okay, as you beat it, you incorporate air. So there is air now in the liquid. Also, when you whip cream, the solid foams like marshmallows, gelatin, sponge, and meringue are that is air in a solid. And finally, suspensions. Though suspensions are really not commonly occurring as we prepare foods. So these are mixtures which may separate on standing and with not gel. It of no consists of large particles scattered in the liquid. Okay, as I've said earlier, it rarely occurs in food. Like for example, it is raw starch in cold water. Let me not talk about heat in cooking. Pag nagluluto, okay, siyempre, dapat heat. A form of energy due to the vibratory or kinetic movement of molecules. Friction, when you when the water molecules, okay, na pag sila ang with the high kinetic energy, okay, they they collide with one another, so they produce friction and then produce heat. A form of energy that is transferred between systems or objects with different temperatures. So what are the temperatures that are important in food preparation? Okay, just remember. Okay. Look at the baking stone. Okay, huh? And the candy zone. Okay, look at pressure canning. Pressure canning is at 240 degrees Fahrenheit or 116 degrees centigrade. This is the temperature enough to destroy Clostridium botulinum. Of course, the boiling water, simmering temperature is below boiling water, scalding, okay, lukewarm, and of course the refrigerator zone. So these are the temperatures that are important in food preparation. Cooking is defined as processes and techniques of using food or combinations of foods as to achieve a product which is edible, palatable, aesthetically pleasing, nutritious, and microbiologically safe. Let's remember the application or removal of heat. So freezing is also cooking. There are four important reasons why we cook food. One is to improve the appearance, flavor, and taste of food, and also helps to develop, blend, or alter the flavors. Usually in cooking, and okay, uh, the good aroma and flavors would be further enhanced. To bring about structural changes in food, like your meat fibers are tenderized, you know, and the cellulose in vegetables and fruits is softened. So now they are easier to chew and digest. And to stimulate the appetite and the digestive juices, yung piniritong manok, kahit malayo pa lang, amoy na amoy mo na. No? So, cooking stimulates the appetite. Kasi bakit? Kasi nare-release yung volatile aroma. No? At yun ang ating naaamoy at nagiging kaaya-aya sa ating appetite. It gives food an attractive appearance, aroma, and taste. Yes, yes, that is true. Who would want to eat fried chicken? No, okay, that is has that brown, no, has that brown, and looks like its original fresh chicken meat. Diba? Ilaw, hindi siya masarap. Pero the Jollibee chicken joy, okay, is very on yung tsura pa lang niya tsaka yung amoy, okay, would already stimulate our appetite. To improve the keeping quality of food, okay, it destroys some of the harmful microorganisms such as yeast, bacteria that are naturally present. Okay, cooking usually destroys most of the uh, non-pathogenic microorganisms. Of course, we cannot talk about cooking without talking about heat transfer. And in order to for food to be cooked, yes, heat must be transferred from a heat source, such as a gas, flame, or an electric element to and through the food. And there are essentially three ways by which heat is transferred, and I think you're quite familiar with this. Conduction, so the direct transfer of heat, okay, via metals or any heat conducting materials containing the food, okay, is conduction. Copper has the highest rate of conductivity, while glass is the poorest. Okay, uh, waffles in an electric waffle maker take on a hot plate, okay, all would exhibit conduction heat transfer. Convection, on the other hand, is conducted by hot air, dry, wet, steam, water, and oil, as in a steamer or convection oven. Conduction is a slow mode of heat transfer because this would occur in solid or very viscous food material. Whereas convection, as long as there is water, it is a fast mode of heat transfer. Yes, just to show you, you see, uh, when this bottom of the pan hits, no, the hottest portion of the flame would be at the tip. No, so it hits that would be conduction. So the conduction, okay, will be heating, okay, all the possible metal, and then and would hit the liquids in food. Okay, convection now, okay, occurs, okay, in the okay heated liquid. Pag yung medyo malayo, no, o ikaw yung nag-grill, naglilitsyon, okay, that would be radiation. So radiation is heat conducted by infrared heat or microwaves. as in boiler, salamander, or microwave oven. The transfer of heat from a red coil of the griller, a toaster, or stove to the food is radiation. Example would be toasting bread, broiling on an electric range, and, you know, lechon in a spit. In fact, hindi dapat siya lechon in a spit. Pig in a spit. And that would be your lechon. So this is, let me just a little bit. Of course, I think almost all of you know what is a microwave oven. But let me just discuss why this is quite a favorite nowadays of homemakers, because the food can be heated for a very short period of time. You see, the micro oven is equipped by what you call a special vacuum tube called magnetron. Okay. Switch on, the power is on. What happens is that microwaves are generated. See, microwaves are generated, tapos first blasted into this container, and so microwaves, you see, so these waves penetrate the food, okay, disturbing the molecular structure, causing friction and developing heat that cooks food in a relatively short period of time. Let's talk about cooking methods. Cooking methods are classified as moist heat and dry heat. Moist heat methods are those in which the heat is conducted to the food product by water, uh, including uh, stocks, sauces, or by steam like boiling or stewing. In fact, you might get confused because it is conduction, but in this is not conduction. Maybe the better term is transferred, you know, because pag moist heat, it is mostly convection. So the dry heat methods are those in which the heat is conducted. Again, yeah, ito pwedeng conducted without moisture, that is by, again, is transferred, better term, without moisture, that is by hot air, hot metal, radiation, or hot fat, like frying, boiling, grilling, and baking. No, change that to transferred class. Uh, let's talk about moist heat uh, methods. The moist heat methods, okay, would include boiling. Okay. So what is boiling? Food is fully immersed in bubbling or highly agitated liquid. Okay. Fully immersed. Okay. Poaching, usually done at 71 to 80 degrees centigrade. So your food is placed in a small amount of uh, hot liquid. Okay. Usually at 71 to 82 degrees centigrade. Mm, Codling is also poaching. Kaya lang pag you say cuddled egg, meron siyang nakalagay siya sa container, no? Meron siyang container. Yung poaching diretso nilalagay mo yan doon, dinadrop mo sa sa tubig. Pero yung pag sabing cuddled, meron siya pang container, no? Parang maliit na bowl, okay, to cook the egg. Uh, then you have stewing, slow cook. Actually, it is, oh, wait, sorry, poaching. And then, of course, you have stewing. Okay, that is cooking food of in simmering temperature. Then you have steaming. So this is your steaming. Cooking food in water vapor. Sa katulad ng gumagawa ng siapaw. You have branching. Okay. Uh, Parang the end product or is partly cooked. No? Binilunch mo lang. No? Parang sinabi natin, isinok lang or dinip sa kumukulong tubig for a very short period of time. I usually do this with my vegetables, especially the fruit vegetable, 1 minute at 100 degrees centigrade. Wow, it's nice, very crispy, especially ang palaya. Braising, on the other hand, is you first the food is sauteed or seared, then simmered in liquids. Okay, simmering is usually done for a longer period of time until the meat becomes tender. So, moist heat method, no? Merong liquid. The dry heat methods, okay, would include roasting, no? High heat, okay, you expose the food to high heat, okay, in the oven. That is your roasting. Searing, okay, you end up with just no, you heat it up, no, and end up with a well browned, okay, with uh, crusted surface, okay, and usually searing is done before roasting. And of course, baking, exposure to heat, okay, using an oven. You have broiling. The broiling is similar to grilling, but in broiling, okay, the heat source is both at the top at the bottom. Pag sinabi mong grill, usually nasa ilalim siya or under. The food is under uh, the no the hot. It's either the hot iron, hot iron or metal or yung baga or uli. And I forgot to mention about frying. Frying is also a drying method of cooking. Um, Class as a rule, no cuts of little cuts of meat. Kapag ang meat, the little cut of meat would come from the muscle that is more exercise, okay, you apply moist heat cooking. But if the meat cut would come from least exercise muscle, then you use the dry heat method of cooking. It is observed that, yung daw meat from a more exercise muscle would result in more flavorful but tougher, kaya moist heat. Yun namang the meat cuts coming from least exercise muscle would be more tender, but it is less flavorful, okay, compared with the more exercise, compared with meat coming from the more exercise muscles. Kaya nga sa bahay, nag-aagawan kami lagi sa manok. No? Kasi lahat may gusto ay leeg at pakpak. Kaya tsaka doon sa leg. Kasi more exercise yun. Kaya more tender, more flavorful. The breast, okay, is really tender but less flavorful. So let's talk about pH in food. This refers to, class, take note, to both the acidity and basicity of food. Well, some applications of pH in food preparation and processing. Okay. Gel formation in gel is, of course, at pH 3.2. Not too high, not too low. Okay. If it's too low, what you produce is a runny gel. If too, uh, if too high, it's really a tough or less tender gel. Baliktad ba? Yeah, tama. A dough with a pH 5 results in good volume and texture. And biscuits with pH 7 are crispy and cream colored. Now, acidic foods are pasteurized. No, why? Because acidic foods, okay, uh, will harbor, okay, less number of microorganisms and usually the non-pathogenic ones. But basic foods, more microorganisms and usually would include both the pathogenic and the non-pathogenic microorganisms, so they have sterilized. Take note that an acidic pH is not conducive for the growth and survival of many types of microorganisms. Okay? And acids contribute to sourness of foods. Let's talk about the physical-chemical changes in food during food preparation. Effect of heat treatment, protein. Heat causes coagulation and eventual denaturization of protein. Okay. Fats can either be removed or absorbed. Okay? Pag ikaw ay nagpiprito ng saging, absorb. Pag ikaw ay nagpiprito ng liempo, okay, they are released or discharged. Now, it is a rule that you should avoid overheating the fat, okay, because that can result in the formation of acrolein, a kind of compound which is found to be has a cancer-like activity. Starch with water when heated results in an increase in viscosity, lumalapot, okay, and in the process of what we call gelatinization. And sugar, you see, you add sugar to water, okay, right, that would not rises, but it raises the boiling point. So that means the sugar solution boils at a higher temperature than 100 degrees centigrade. Effects of cold. Um, Temperature change of food from room to cold to frozen aff- affects both the functional and eating qualities of food. No? Uh, I think we mentioned earlier that in the freezer, okay, when you place foods in the freezer, okay, there is a mechanical separation of the fiber as well as the cell membrane may rupture. Pag nangyari yon, ano ang mangyayari during thawing? Okay, lalabas lahat ang mga volatile components, nutrients, okay, lahat-lahat sila ay mag-leach out. So, in effect, okay, that would result in a less nutritious okay, food as well as that magiging kasi nga nagsaseparate ang fibers, nagiging mushy, especially okay when we're talking about frozen vegetables being thawed. Effect of acid. Yeah. Chlorophyll changes into undesirable olive green color. We do not want that to happen. So, in cooking, usually what we do is that uunahin man nating lutuin ang gulay, pagluto ng gulay, saka tayo maglalagay ng asin to minimize the uh, change of color from bright green to olive green color. Viscosity and texture are affected as vinegar and citric acid reduce the thickness of the hot starch paste and the firmness of the cold paste. Masarap talaga ang lugaw pag nilalagyan mo ng kalamansi. Pero dapat uubusin mo kaagad. Kasi pag hindi, ang mangyayari ay magiging itong rani. No? Makikita mong parang hindi na siya, nawawala ang kanyang pagiging malapot. Physical and mechanical, okay? Okay, agitation and searing. When you prepare ice cream to produce tiny crystals, ice cream crystals, you must vigorously stir it or agitate it, okay, to produce tiny crystals accompanied by quick freezing. Mayonnaise is just stirred, not beaten, because we do not want, okay, air to be incorporated in it. Nor in making custards. In custards, let's plan, we only want to know stir it, never beat it. Because when we beat it, okay, the curd that will be formed, okay, would be porous, may butas-butas because you incorporate air. Okay. Whipping or beating, again, okay, you want an increase in volume, you beat it, no? So that you incorporate air into the cream or to the food or even that into your meringue. Now, when you want to prepare meringue, you have to beat the egg whites, okay, to incorporate air in it. And of course, kneading, okay, to produce a long, slender gluten strands, okay, resulting in tender baked products, you must knead it well. Usually, the kneading is a push pull, no, it's a push pull uh, manner. Okay, I don't see kneading done in a circular motion, but simply I would believe that it should be done in a push, no, pushing and pulling motion, okay, such that you are able to align the glutamine and gliadin, okay, in found, these are proteins found in the gluten strands. Now let's talk about fruits and vegetables. Okay. Uh, they may be classified, especially vegetables, according to parts of plant juice. Leafy vegetable, be it shoot, ano pa, stem, flowers, uh, ano pa pa, fruit vegetable. No? According to chemical, oops, I lost it. What happens? I lost my slideshow. Mm-hmm. Here, there. Okay. Sorry for that. Then, according to chemical composition, mm, starchy, may protein ba siya? Katulad ng legumes. Okay. Starchy pag tubers. Okay. And according to nutritive value. No? Parang kapares dito ng number 2. No? So, mga energy-giving foods, energy-giving vegetables, okay, o mga matataas sa vitamins and minerals. Okay, just to show you the the, the plants of parts that may be called vegetable. So this is a fruit vegetable. Flowers, stem and shoots, asparagus, at saka, ito, yung bamboo shoot. Okay, the tubers, ginger root, potato, you have onions, the bulbs, the roots, carrot, and of course the leafy green vegetables and the seeds like beans, corn, peas, and lentils. So these are um, the how you considered another plant parts that are can be considered as vegetables. So vegetables are composed of dietary fiber. I mentioned to you this earlier. These are insoluble fibers, mainly cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. lignans. Okay, that's why they say you eat a lot of vegetables. No, you eat a lot of vegetable. That is good, okay, for cleansing, especially that of the fibers. And the soluble fibers, you have gums and pectic substances. Okay, so that would include protopectin found in unripe fruits. Where is my cursor? Oh, I pointed at there. Protopectin, and you have your pectinic acid or pectin in ripe fruits. Overripe fruits, okay, would contain pectic acid. Let's take let's take a look at the flavor constituents. Again, this is due to the primarily to volatile and soluble constituents, okay, found in vegetables. Again, that would include sugars, esters, and aromatic compounds. Okay, tannins, volatile sulfur compounds, pigments, chlorophyll, of course. Okay, but you see, uh, the pigments can undergo a lot of color changes during food preparation. Like the addition of soda, like the addition of soda forms chlorophyllin, which is bright green in color. Usually, you open candies, di ba? Bright ang kanyang green. Okay, it has been treated with soda or an alkaline solution. The addition of acid turns chlorophyll into greenish gray. You called phaeophytin. Okay, both greenish gray, or brownish gray, green. Okay, olive drab color. These are all termed phaeophytin. Okay, where both magnesium is replaced by hydrogen. Let me show you this. Your chlorophyll looks like your heme protein. Huh? It just looks like your heme protein. So look at this, but instead of in heme protein, you have iron at the center, okay, in the blood, hemoglobin, for example. In chlorophyll, you have magnesium at the center. Okay, and of course, you have a long chain of your phytol tail. Okay, long chain of phytol. Okay, so that's it. When magnesium is replaced by hydrogen, okay, that is your phaeophytin. So again, this is your phytyl group. Now, the action of the enzyme chlorophyllase prior to cooking changes chlorophyll through chlorophyll. Okay, this is water soluble, where the phytol tail is removed, causing the slightly green appearance of the cooking water. So, pwede din palang water soluble, pero slight lang na water soluble. And that is brought about by the action of the enzyme chlorophyllase. Okay. Now, in dill pickles and canned green beans, for examples, the change to olive drab color, okay, okay, you call that phaeopharbide, where both the phytol tail and magnesium is removed. Okay, yun. Pag ang naalis sa itong phytol tail, you call that chlorophyll. Huh? Pag ang naalis ay itong magnesium again is replaced by hydrogenous of phytin. When both the phytol tail, okay, okay, and that of what? That of magnesium is removed, okay, then you end up with what you call the phaeopharbide. Pag naalis ito, tsaka ito, phaeopharbide. Pag naalis yung phytol tail, you call it chlorophyllite. Pag ang magnesium ni-replace ng hydrogen, you call it phaeophytin. The reason why there is an A or a B, because okay, the no yung R chain, okay, for chlorophyll A is CH3, for chlorophyll. B, it is CHO. Yun lang naman ang difference ng dalawa. Okay, so carotenoids, okay, would include like lycopene in tomatoes, okay, and watermelon. Plus, kapag red, ah, no, kapag yellow, that is beta carotene. Pag red, okay, lycopene. Pero both are called carotenoids. So carotene in carrots and in red tomatoes, yes, red tomatoes. And no, lycopene in red tomatoes and watermelon. Okay. Beta carotene in carrots and in yellow tomatoes. Cryptoxanthine and xanthine in corn. Xanthophyll in oranges. And you have capsantine and cryptoxanthine in red peppers. Lutein and viola xanthine in green peppers. So these are some of the names of the carotenoids that can be found, okay, in the vegetables and in fruits. So just to show you, no, 1 mole of beta carotene gives you, okay, two, no, 2 moles of vitamin A. This is where it breaks again. And okay, but lycopene yields only 1 molecule of vitamin A. So carotenoids or carotenes are the precursor of vitamin A. So if you are asked in the board exam again, I don't know if I'm right, but I'm trying. Um, may carotenoids ba sa gulay? Possible na wala o wala talaga. Kasi ang nandun ay yung may vitamin A ba sa gulay? Ang sagot ay wala. Kasi ang presence ay the precursors, the carotenoids. Pag kinain mo yan, pagdating sa tiyan, doon lang siya nako-convert into vitamin A. Flavonoids. Okay. So the flavonoids include anthocyanin and anthocyanins. Okay. And no, so let's first talk about anthocyanin. It is water soluble, responsible for the red, purple, blue colors. Your ubi, no? Grapes, siniguelas, duhat. You see, class, they say that the flavonoids or the phenolic compounds have very antioxidant property. Not all, but only those, okay, phenolic compounds or anthocyanins wherein in their structures you have 2 hydroxyl groups, na magkatabi. Okay, ito mahina ang kanyang antioxidant property. Ito, yes, look at this. 3, okay, 3 hydroxyl groups, okay, attached, no, okay, magkakalapit, no. And then you have anthocyanins, also water soluble, colorless to white yellowish, white pigments, and mostly found in cereals, sa yams, sa radish. Okay. Okay, so this is an example of your antocyanin. They also would say that it has an antioxidant property, but very, very much less than the anthocyanins. Take a look, walang magkatabing hydroxyl groups. And nutrients, okay, again, carbohydrates, the proteins. Though the protein that may be found in vegetable are of low biological value, or there are incomplete proteins because they may be lacking in 1 or 2 of the amino acids. Whereas in meat, in red meat and white meats, the proteins found in them are called of high biological value, meaning that all the essential and the non-essential amino acids are present. Of course, vegetables, okay, would also contain fat, no, like the nuts or avocado, that's a fruit. Okay, vitamins and minerals, of course, pagkaing pampaganda. They said in rhyme, ang saging at papaya pagkain pampaganda. So this is your glow food where you get a lot of vitamins and minerals. What are the changes during cooking? Fibers are either softened or toughened. Softened with just mere pointing, but if you add an acid, it might toughen. No? Your fibers might toughen if you add the acid. Water is either lost or absorbed. Okay, and there are changes in flavor, of course. No, like of course I don't want to eat raw pechay, but if you cook it, then the flavor is very very nice. Or even ampalaya, no, you eat ampalaya raw, ay napaka-bitter. Pero pag niluto mo, okay, bitter pa rin. Huwag mong pigaan. Kasi pag piniga mo, mawawala yung kanyang healthy factor. Okay, bitter pa rin, pero less na ang kanyang degree of bitterness. And of course, there are changes in color as we have described earlier. I want you to be familiar with this table, no? Like what happens to the pigment. Okay, so these are the pigments upon the addition of acid, alkali, prolonged cooking, and of course, okay, solubility in water. Again, your anthocyanins and anthocyanins are very soluble in water, whereas your uh, chlorophyll and carotenes slightly soluble, but they are highly soluble in fats. Changes on the nutrient content, again, carbohydrates. They undergo a process of gelatinization. Okay, gelatinization is just cooking the starch. Okay, yung sinaing mo hilaw, okay, iinit mo, okay, mag-swell siya, magtitikin, okay, at tapos pag naluto siya, yun, ang process doon ay gelatinization. Ang tawag doon ay gelatinization. And dextrinization. You apply dry heat sa starch, okay, then that would result in fragments of starch you call dextrins. Okay, this is good because mm, yung fresh na bread, white bread, di ba? Hindi siya kasing sarap when you toast it. Para ko mas gusto ko ang sinangag kaysa plain na sinaing kasi parang medyo nagiging matamis-tamis siya. At there is a good blending of the um, flavor, no, when you apply heat to starch producing dextrins. And of course, caramelization of sugar, the production of that caramel brown color. Okay, proteins become no the protein becomes more soluble and digestible because heat could break down or hydrolyze the proteins found in vegetables. Kaya lumalambot din sila. Vitamins may be destroyed like the heat label vitamin C and thiamine. Minerals are leached into the cooking liquid or oxidized. So class when cooking vegetables, huwag yung bukas ng bukas at huwag sobrahan ng tubig. No? Kasi pag bukas ka ng bukas, no, yung ah, lahat ng inyong volatile components, magiging vapor yon. Pupunta na yun sa langit, no, sa atmosphere. And huwag naman madaming tubig kasi nagli-leach out, no? Diba nasisira yung cell membrane upon heating? So magli-leach out lahat ng inyong mga nutrients ando na. So minsan mas maganda pang ah, yung sabaw kaysa sa doon sa the vegetables, yung itself. Yung sabaw na lang ang kasi naandun na nga yung mga ah, soluble na nutrients. Okay, vegetables would include legumes and nuts. Okay, there are also called, the legumes are also called pulses. Ayan ang mga examples. And nuts are fruits of hard leather shell. Okay, then peanuts. Okay, yan. Yan what's common in our uh, country. And you have, of course, I like pili nuts. The legumes are good sources of lysine, but poor in methionine and cysteine. It is also a good source of iron, phosphorus, niacin, and thiamine, but low in calcium. Kaya nga sa diba, sa nutrition, lagi natin sinasama, sabi, munggo, okay, munggo, rice, at saka isda. Kasi yung rice, okay, kulang sa lysine, no? So yung legumes mataas naman sa lysine. You know your sprouted mung bean or toge is the only vegetable that I could think that is rich in vitamin C. Oh, yes, high in uric acid. Nuts are high in fat content, no? Okay, it is high in fat content, like peanuts or even your coconut. So the functions of legumes or pulses would be, or even the nuts, there are good protein sources. And again, I would like to mention that the protein that is found in vegetables, in legumes and nuts are incomplete proteins. They are or maybe of low biological value. That means they cannot support life because they may be lacking in one or two of the amino acids, essential amino acids. They are good meat substitutes, okay, like the textured vegetable protein from soybeans. So you can use that. You can replace part of the meat with TVP, and it would almost result as if it's pure meat. Okay, like in your hamburger. And of course, they can also be used as binders because, okay, being protein in nature, okay, they also has the ability to be, that also has the ability to coagulate. Let me talk a little bit about the toxicological effects of legumes. Okay, they contain the enzyme like oxygenase. Again, that is an enzyme which oxidizes carotene. So if ever carotene is oxidized, loses the double bonds, so there may not be beta carotene at all. No, there may not be vitamin A that will be generated, okay, from carotene. The presence of heat labile, okay, trypsin inhibitor, okay. So the prevents growth. Trypsin is quite needed for growth, just like lysine in raw soybeans. So there is a compound in legumes that would inhibit trypsin. They have a toxic factor that causes enlargement of the thyroid glands. Yes. Yun ang So, pwede kang magkaroon ng goiter. No? Ng goiter. And contains phytohemagglutines which have the property to agglutinate red blood cells. What is that? Parang yung pang lumalapot ang dugo. And may contain aflatoxin, which can cause chronic form of food intoxication. No, pag sinabi chronic, yung bang pangmatagalan at dapat kumain ka lagi-lagi at saka marami. And of course, the presence of the pterogens. Okay, the pterogen is a compound, the derivative of amino acids, no, which can cause, okay, bone thinning and muscle, bone thinning and paralysis of the legs. Okay, they say this is an inhibitor of a neuron transmitter. So if that happens, then the effect would be bone thinning and uh, paralysis of the leg. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about lactirogens. I've seen my notes. It says here that it is antagonist of glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is a non-essential amino acid. The glutamic acid is a neurotransmitter in the brain. Okay, so it is an antagonist of lactirogens. What happens that, okay, it could result in bone thinning and leg paralysis. Okay, some of the, I go fast with this, processed products, remember pag fermented bean tausi. Alat kaya? Okay. Grilled cheese or taho. Then you have soybean cheese, hard curd or tokwa. Pag soft curd, that would be tofu. Pag bean cheese, salted or pag bean cheese, salted, you call that tahure. Maalat din. And of course, your TBP. Okay, that is your TBP or your textured vegetable protein from soybeans. Okay, soybean meal, okay, flour and milk are also some of the byproducts, okay, from soybeans. And of course, peanut oil, flour, butter, and milk. Okay, what is salad? Okay. Okay, it's just simply a combination of different fruits and vegetables with a salad dressing. So that is your salads. And the kinds of salad, okay, maybe fruit salad, vegetable salad, starchy salad. Pag fruit salad, made up of fruits. Pag vegetable, made up of vegetable. Pag starchy salad, ito yung mga uh, like it could be also uh, what's it called? The root crops, no? The root crops. Possibly I've not tasted one. Pero potato, no? Yung potato salad pala. Yun. Ah, masarap yun, no? And of course, pag ito mga ito ay sinamahan mo, binuhusan mo ng agar, gelatin, then it becomes a molded salad. Now let's go to fruits. Okay. What are fruits? Okay. Botany, ripened ovary is a fruit. So, no, yung classification of fruits would include simple fruits, aggregate fruits, multiple fruits, accessory fruits. No, minsan it was given in the board exam the different classification of fruits. So they were asked to identify kung ano daw ang mangga, no, anong klaseng fruit yun. So that may discuss now, discuss a little about the simple fruits. So simple fruits they do develop from a single ovary, no? Isang single ovary ng isang flower, and it may be fleshy or dry. Pag fleshy, ang tawag doon ay berry. Pag berry, the entire pericarp is soft and pulpy, malaman, no? Like grape, tomato, banana, okay, your pepo. Your pepo ay yung mga cucumber, melons, okay, and hesperidium, yung mga citrus fruits, no, oranges, and the blueberry, no? Okay. Ang blueberry lang, ang tunay na talaga na berry. The raspberry, okay, it's not. So you have drupe. No, yung drupe naman, yung outer layer niya ng kanyang fruit could be pulpy, fibrous, or leathery. Tapos yung kanyang endocarp, yung loob niya, hardens into a pit. So parang meron siya doong lalagyan ng mga seeds. Okay, pit. The example would be that of your peach. Okay. The example will be that of your peach. Sorry again for this. Okay. Cherry, olive, coconut, and walnut. O yung sa labas, para bang sa loob may merong pang matigas, no, na nagko-contain ng seed. The dry fruits, berry or dry fruits, are further divided into what you call decent fruits. Yung pagkapag mature na, it will split open to release the mature seeds like the legumes. Or indehiscent fruits, those that do not split, like pag mature ng coconut or hazelnut, hindi naman sila mag-split. You have to break it, no? Hit it hard to be able to break it. Aggregate fruits, okay, are those fruits, okay, that like berry and raspberry. It consists of a mass of small drupes, no? We call it drupelets, each of which develop from a separate ovary of a single flower. Yung simple fruits, isang ovary, isang single flower. Ito naman ay magkakahiwalay yung ovary, no, of a single flower. So, that is an aggregate fruit. The example will be blackberry and raspberry. Then the multifold fruits, okay, like pineapple, strawberry, and mulberry. No, hindi sila berry, but they are multifold fruits. Develop maraming ovaries at maraming bulaklak growing in a cluster. Ano, kaya yung pineapple nyo, kada isa doon ay, no, yung mataas na sinasabi, kada isa noon ay, okay, fruit. And the accessory fruits contain tissues derived from plant parts other than the ovary. Kasi yung strawberry, take a look at it. Meron siyang yung ating inaalis pag tayo kumakain. Okay, yung green part develops from a what you call a receptacle, an enlarged receptacle or base of the flower. Yung core ng pineapple is also a receptacle but it is a stem. No, yung tinatanggal natin pag kumakain tayo ng pineapple, hindi natin alam na pag tinanggal natin doon, nawawala na yung okay, fiber component ng pineapple. The pome, apple, and pear, in which the fleshy edible portion is swollen stem. Stem pala yung fruit, flesh niya. And the fruit is only at the, no, the central core. The skin of the banana is also a stem tissue, as in the rind of people or your berry-like fruit of the squash, cucumber, and melon. So it is a stem tissue.